highlight. Dr. Ilmed Ramdani, Associate Professor in Networking, Editing at the YME. Dr. Mustafa Hamdi, Associate Professor at INSAT, University of Carthage, and Coordinator of Innov Challenge. Dr. Marwan Yijri, Experienced Product Leader based in Qatar. Dr. Fathi Fileli, Head of Technology Development and Applied Research, Qatar Mobility Innovation Center. And Dr. Malik Shanufi, Associate Professor, University of Carthage, and co-founder of Startup GateX. We have the honor to start with Dr. Abdullah Fahad. Now you can introduce yourself and you can begin. You're welcome, Doctor.
Thank you, Rima. Sorry for the little bit confusing in the beginning. Actually, thank you for the nice introduction. I hope I'll be a doctor, but I'm not like you guys. I'm an engineer only. So thank you for the nice introduction. Actually, what I'm doing in general, I'm handling innovation center in this part of the world. Focus only on AI, robotics, and IoT. So we empower and support startups and entrepreneurs to jump into that field with all kinds of knowledge, experts, information, or what they're looking for. I have 2 slides talking about the opportunities in this arena. I'm going to take it only from business point of view. I will not focus on details of AI in front of all the good names I have on this panel, actually. So we'll start with a very short presentation with 2 slides. Those 2 slides will talk about what the governments are doing now, what they need from startups and entrepreneurs to help them with, and what are the opportunities that jump in by using AI platforms or AI concept or whatever. I mean, things that might help them using big data or sensors and AI it. So I will jump to the presentation. It's only 2 to 3 slides. Yeah. So this is the ugly shape of COVID coronavirus, and this is actually the logo of G20, which is hosted by Saudi Arabia today. Today, most of the governments are spending their time, efforts on either, let me say, researches to find a solution, to find, let me say, anything that helped them to face a corona situation, or they spend time on clinical trials, treatments, statistics, reports. So all those things are handled today by governments. Each one of them will need like data, big data analysis, and huge computing to come with let me say, solutions. This computing comes from their data or the information that they have, either open data, government data, private organizations data, and it become like textual and go to NLP concept, try to analyze, to try to find the data behind what we find from this sense and that sense, and we come with findings, and that findings might help the government to get either protons or vaccines, targets, treatments, whatever. I mean, so this is a great business for startups to start think about, because nothing around on the world today about this. Second thing, so this is in beginning, actually, we can help governments by building NLP concept or AI-based concept solutions. Try to help them from the data they have, the data around the world, the data on private sector, data on hospitals, whatever. I mean, to come within AI support to find findings of either solutions or analyzing the problem itself. Second opportunity will be very open for let me say startups, and it's really open. It's really open because no one is 100% ready today. Useful applications, and useful application now is not me, not all people, not governments. It's really for youth, for startups. If they come with a solution, tracking people, and that is a very useful application. Like if you like to have a permission to go out of the city or to fly, just use this application. If you would like to go to the market, use this application. If you like to get support, use this application. If you get permission, use this application. So it become very useful among to corona situation today everywhere in the world. Collecting that data and that application, having that application almost in every mobile by useful cases. And that's what we need, young guys, fresh minds, to come with a really good useful cases powered by government powers, health situation case today, and nice useful application that makes people communicate. And when we know this guy who have that ID, living in that city, become positive case at that age, then we can connect who have the situation, and we can control people and tracking them and track the situation of corona by using AI platforms. But we will use those applications as a kind of sensor. We jump on our lab today, and we finished one of the smallest tracking device ever in the world. It's almost my finger size. And it works in any environment, and the battery can live for 7 to 8 days. That's in a very, let me say, high-level brief, the two main opportunities for startups to think about using AI to support governments, human, and the globe, actually. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Shukran, thank you, danke, merci, and the floor is yours now, Dr. Ren.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Abdullah Sahib, for this presentation. Interesting, very interesting. And we can go now to presentation of Dr. Ahmed Ramzani. And after I propose to ask a question at the end of all the presentation.
Thank you very much indeed for this kind invitation. It's a great pleasure to have all of you. With I'm being pleased to be with all the friends. My colleague Dr. Ahmed Fathi Filali. We did the engineering school together. To have also all the finest mind in the AI, some entrepreneur in the field. I didn't have to say prepare some slides. I'm jumping from European Commission evaluation process to join you, so I do apologize for that. But I want to try to be very brief on this to highlight the opportunities, the challenges, and how we can look forward to take advantage of this epidemic and use it in our advantage in daily life, and that to shape our strategies with respect to different level, from a business, education, research, and so on. So the AI, the intelligence artificial access, is a mean to help to make decision, to mitigate complex situations, to understand the data in a depth way. So it's a process, it's a tool that could be applied to any field if it is used appropriately. So, but to be able to do that, I think the key thing, the seeds that we need, is the data itself. So if you have the data, you have the power, you have the information. And I think in our countries, we need to think about this, how we have to have an ecosystem, sustainable ecosystem when the data is accessible, whether it is medical data, economical data, any other data. They are very, very relevant for this. Without data, you can't do anything. The data itself have to be prepared for any AI engine. It has to be purified, it has to be calibrated, and so on. So we need to think about that as an opportunity, and there are a lot of things that can be done there. I've been close to some startups that I have. I had the chance to mentor the entrepreneur. One of them was shortlisted as top 10 for NASA competition last year, and they used the signal brain, and they tried to inject that into robotic arms and try to give the sense and the feeling for the robots, so that you can feel and you can sense what you are touching. And this could be used for remote application, for example, if you are going to send some robots or rovers to Mars and other planets. The same concepts, the same techniques proved to be useful also in this COVID-19 crisis, because it's about the technique itself. It's about the intelligence that you develop. It's about the algorithm that you develop. We applied them as well to analyze medical data. And here we are competing with Dr. Mustafa Hamdi, who is one of the speakers later, and can elaborate further on what he have done. So we analyzed different medical data from chest, IRM to lung, different, how to say, the signals from brain and so on, to find out and try to predict and try to estimate the severity level of the COVID-19 issue with the patient. So in what stage they are, because as you know, this is a silent virus. The incubation period of the virus is long. The symptom may appear or not. So you need to go deeper into the data. You don't just wait, and that's why AI can help in predicting things. It can analyzing the different routes, the different situations, and so on. In terms of market opportunities, I think we have a lot of startup in Tunisia. We have around 20 startups, as far as I know. They are very, very good. They are very, very competitive. I can just mention a few names like InstaDeep, who are leading in Africa and so on. So the business is already there, but we need to think, as I said, about the entire end-to-end system, the ecosystem. So to have everything around that. And there are good opportunities for everyone to take advantage of that. And thank you.
Activate your micro.
Okay, thank you very much. And now we go to Dr. Marwan Hijri. Dr. Marwan. Okay. We wait for Dr. Now we go to Dr. Fathi Filali. Fathi Filali. Welcome.
Yes.
Okay.
Assalamu
Begin, and after all presentation, we'll exchange together and ask some questions. Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Yes, thanks so much. I would like first to thank Startup Gate, I think, for inviting me and having this opportunity to have with all of you this webinar. For me, I prepared a few slides. I see that we have many attendees in this webinar. I believe that some of them are maybe students, science researchers. So I think it's better to go through the slides. We can really get deeper into a few use cases that we are developing in Qatar Mobility Innovation Center and Qatar in general. And also in the world. So this can give some insights to some of the bright students that are following this webinar to come up with new ideas or develop further their own ideas. I try to share my slides. I'm not familiar with with Zoom. I usually use Teams and WebEx and work. Let me see. So how to share this?
You have the button, the green button.
In the bottom of the screen,
Okay.
share screen. You are on desktop or on mobile?
Desktop.
In the bottom of the screen, there is a green button.
I need to allow Zoom to get access to the screen. Let me just
No problem. We were waiting.
Okay.
Too much security, Fatih.
I need to quit to join again. Sorry. Mac. It's the MacBook. It's the MacBook, so I need to leave the meeting and join. Okay.
Okay. Okay. I will ask one question to Mr. Abdullah Sahib. COVID-19 has serious implications for companies around the world. How they adapt the new standard of operating and organization remotely. What business functions are at risk, and what AI solution could help? Could you give us some idea about this?
Okay.
Thank you.
100%. The world, the business after Corona and before Corona is totally different. We have to agree on this. Number one, governments decide worldwide to go on average of government employees, 20% of them will work from home. Corporates, enterprises, business, for sure, at least they will have from 10 to 20% also working from home. So working from home is a new business now. Supporting that new business with tools, managing the KPIs, distributing jobs based on the achievements, based on the capabilities, on the age, on the location, on the gender, whatever I mean. So all those AI-based, let me say, platforms supporting that working from home will be needed very soon. Second thing, that having AI concept to track the documents feeding, let me say, files feedings, interacting with portals, interacting to identify this is the right person, it's his right way. He used to fill this field with that time. Usually when ask people for their ID or their number, it shouldn't take more than 3 seconds. So AI will analyze this. So yeah, AI need today is more than any time before for business support units remotely. Second thing, marketplaces and e-commerce in general, growth at least 50-60% everywhere in the world. Delivery and supply chain management increased, and all of this need really AI, really good and well-designed AI platforms to manage supply chain and e-commerce. So I think, yeah, we should focus a little bit on AI platforms or applications or things managing working from home, delivery and supply chain management, and e-commerce. Yeah, all the three will be. We thought actually they reach good level now. With Corona, I think the level went very bit high and higher.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I agree also, and thanks for your answer. I would does Dr. Fathi Fireri, are you ready?
Dr. Fathi.
Dr. Fathi.
Yes, is he?
There we go. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Let me share.
It's okay for you? Okay, it's okay.
Good, good.
Good, it's okay. Thank you very much. You can begin.
Nice of you.
Sorry for that. So I prepared a few slides honestly speaking, so we use it to present slides. So, because we are, I thought that is good to share with you some of the work that we are doing at QMIC. So QMIC is a Qatar Mobility Innovation Center. Is a center which is really focusing on innovation, as really clear in its name. It was founded in 2009 by Qatar University, which is the national university in Qatar, and Qatar Foundation. We focus mainly in intelligent mobility, smart cities, and environment safety. So we make use of enablers like sensing, like IoT, like AI. These are enablers for us really to develop solutions in-house. And as you can see in the bottom, you have some of the brands of our products that we developed in the last few years. Masark is for intelligent mobility, Internet of Things platform, environment, mobile solution. Where I will come to this later, which is Wayne application, which is used almost by everyone in Qatar. So we were using this application in this crisis really to let people make sure they are informed, and we added a lot of intelligence there related to COVID, like chatbots and others. And we are working also on some research project related to connected vehicles and autonomous vehicles. So when it comes to artificial intelligence for healthcare, so it's not something new. Is something related very old, let's say 20, 30 years. We are not talking about AI at that time, but we are talking about algorithms or machine learning and so on. And now is about really performing some tasks in real time with reasonable accuracy. I highlight this because it's not be possible to reach 100% accuracy. So we should be able to live with 95 or 96, and at least to get the same error of level as a human. So human doctors also can make mistakes. So if you can really get an average as an acceptable accuracy, this is acceptable, and can practitioners and physicians can accept to use your machine or your AI algorithm to help them in the diagnosis process. So we need really to make sure that we are not talking about 100% accuracy, but an accuracy which is equivalent to the physicians and practitioners, especially in the situation of crisis, where really the stress is high in healthcare and hospitals, and we need really to get help of machines. So it's about predicting, it's about comprehending, learning, but also doing some actions, which not, as far as now there is no project for COVID doing actions when it comes to any physical act that the patient may need. So for us in Qatar, so we are using AI in different really use cases for related to COVID. One of them, which is the basic one, is to, especially in the first 2-3 weeks, we were stressed to help people really doing some online screening in real time, giving the number of calls that the centers are getting. And so we developed together with some colleagues online platform, and basically this was done by QCRI's Qatar Computing Research Institute, a sister institute here in Qatar. So it was visited by more than 50,000 people. And this is not really special for Qatar. So many countries in the world, they are having chatbot or AI bot applications that can help in this screening process. So this is where AI can be used. This is one example of them. Second example, as I told you, we have this Wayne mobile application. We have around 500,000 downloads in Qatar in both platforms. And this is dedicated for intelligent mobility and crowd analytics and so on. But during this crisis, we added capability based on AI really to do the screening, to let people be informed about what's going on in the country, make sure they have access to any call, any information to call any health center and so on. So this is another use case. The second use case that we did not do any work ourselves, but I know that this has been done in many institutions. We know, as mentioned by Dr. Imad, I think access to the data is very important. So if you don't have data, there is no need to spend time doing something that is, maybe it will consume your time, but at the end of the day, it will be either you need to use data which is not coming from local, hospitals, or data, the amount of data or number of data sets, that data points that you have is not really so huge in order to be able to do the learning phase, the testing, the validation, and keep improving the process. So I know that many institutions and companies and enterprises using CT scans really to detect, classify COVID-19 symptoms. But honestly speaking, this is a little bit late in the process. So symptoms, so if you can detect earlier is much better than waiting to have really going through CT scans and detect, because at that stage, maybe the patient is already in severe situations. So if you can do this earlier, it's much better than waiting till the end. But at the end of the day, if you look at what was announced in the world, there are many companies, especially in China and South Korea, they were able to reach 96%. This is, as you can see in the slides, and this is possible. But again, these are huge companies or hospitals or health organizations. They have access to a huge amount of data. And most of them, they are not starting this from zero to reach the hero, but they are having already systems in place to detect other diseases, and they improve these systems really to be able to detect COVID, and most importantly, to make sure that whatever they detect is COVID is not something coming from normal pneumonia, which maybe the patients had because of other diseases, right? So you can see examples in South Korea, in China, and so on. But one important thing is the saving in time. Is we're talking about 20 to 30 seconds, for example, by Alibaba, which is comparing to 10 to 15 minutes of experience. A doctor is a really huge amount of, huge saving in terms of time, especially when the hospital is under stress. Another thing we are doing in Qatar is to detect and combat fake news. You know that you have a lot of fake news, social networks, and so on. This is something that we did some work, and also QCRI, Qatar Computer Research Institute. They have this TEMBI online system, and they have a mobile application as well. And through this system, you can easily detect fake news in different areas, but they customize this solution now for COVID, and it's and they are working with media and newspapers to make sure that whatever news we publish is really real, not fake. And during COVID crisis, you had many fake news. One of them is this is because of 5G network. So which causes damage in many operators. Anyways, so something that we are doing as well is detecting crowds of people, and this is very important in case of in this crisis. So if the government put in place some restrictions in terms of movement to people, we need to be able to control this and try to enforce the law in terms of movement. So we have around 300 sensor networks which are placed in multiple junctions in the road network. And these are scanning Bluetooth devices and Wi-Fi devices. And using this network that was not designed for COVID, this is there for now for 4 or 5 years. But using this network, as you see in the heat map on the right side, we're able to monitor real time, 24 hours, the crowd of people and vehicles in the network, and give access to whoever interested in this. And detect really the hot spots where maybe the government need to dispatch some control there and do some control in that area, which has been done really in many areas in Qatar. Another area that we are working on is the social distancing, which is critical, especially if we decide at one point to reduce these restrictions and people, they can go out, shopping malls will be open and so on. And how to the idea here is how to detect the distance between people. And okay, you can have marks in the street and so on, but it's not enough. So we need to rely on technology and AI. And for our case, we are looking into LiDAR systems, not camera, because of the privacy issues. But this can be done using camera as well, and we can detect the distance and alert, especially in shopping malls and confined area, not on street space. Another work that we did, which is a bit related to this, is what you call it contact tracing application, which is very common using Bluetooth. So we have our own contact tracing application using Bluetooth for both Android and iOS. The idea is to really exchange what you call it the Bluetooth advertisement using the concept of peripheral and central, and make sure that we can estimate the distance. And AI, where AI is used there, is to be able to, is the machine learning algorithm to be able to detect or compute the distance between, based on the signal strength, based on RSSI and other parameters. Another, which is a kind of long term, it's very critical as well, but it will take time to do it. We are not working, of course, on this area, but I know that AI is also helping in finding vaccine. And these are in the right side, some examples of one startup and Baidu and Google DeepMind, where they are trying to detect the RNA, the structure of the virus, and make sure, because this is important to develop a vaccine. So they need to detect the RNA and then be able to have a prototype vaccine which can be tested in humans. And this is, it looks like AI is helping these companies a lot in order to be able to reduce the time of developing a vaccine, and especially escape some phases, because a vaccine development process can take 2-3 years, and maybe hopefully we can get it into by September, December. That's it from my side. Thanks so much again. So I'll be happy to take some questions later on. So I will stop sharing, right? Okay, I will stop sharing. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. Thanks. Thank you, Dr. Fatih Hilali, for this interesting presentation. Especially, you are present many different fields. We can apply AI, especially healthcare, combating COVID-19 fake news, and finding a vaccine, very important, social distancing, real time. All of these applications are very interesting, and we can discuss after about how we can use this application. How can we, for example, the challenges, the opportunities, and the data. How we can find data also very important to can use especially in research or companies and so on. Now we can go to Dr. Mustafa Hamdi.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Hello, everybody. Hope that
Hello, Mustafa. Yes, you can begin. Thank you.
Hello, doctor.
I will do my presentation. Okay. Mainly today, I will show you 2 use cases or 2 applications. The first about artificial intelligence and COVID detection, and the second one about smart industry. So are you showing my presentation now?
Yes,
Can you
it's
see
okay.
my presentation?
Thank you.
It's okay?
It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So, as you know, the PCR method have limitations in terms of specimen collection, and in some cases, the PCR is not able to detect positive COVID. So we guess that artificial intelligence approaches can could help accelerate the analysis of this scan supporting specialists, the medical staff. So we take some CT image. We are doing some image processing here to detect the zone of COVID, mainly the grayscale. Here, as you see, the grayscale for normal just CT, and here for COVID, just CT. Then we are using deep learning. We deployed our platform mid-March to detect from just X-ray or CT scan. Here is our first project at INSAT. As I am associate professor at INSAT, but we believe, in fact, that smart industry can play a vital role for economy during and also post-COVID, mainly for safely monitoring smart manufacturing or collaborative robots. Here we developed a platform using our robot. It's a little bit our robot. In fact, we connected to cloud via Siemens S7, sorry, and then we collected to the cloud for monitoring and supervision purpose. Here we think that this can be very important and also vital for industry during the COVID, the pandemic, and also for post-COVID. So here mainly we have our two platforms developed at INSAT. I can show you the demonstration about the robots. Oops.
Dr. Hamdi? Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
It's okay for the video. Voilà. So here we have visual detection for the defective pieces. We use artificial intelligence mainly here to detect the defective piece. And here we have some sensors to detect vibration and the robots. Just was our platform. Yeah, I finished with this demo, so thank you again. I'm waiting your questions.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Reen?
Yes.
So, Mr. Hamdi has finished his presentation.
Okay. It's okay. Thank you very much. Okay, now I go to Dr. Ayman Gatri would like to present AI and security, I think. Dr. Ayman?
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Ayman. Hi, welcome. How are you?
Fine, everyone.
Okay. You have a few minutes to present, give us ideas about security.
No problem. Actually, very less. We didn't have any presentation ready, but I will tell something very important about AI and some models for some projects. There is very important stuff to understand between two things in AI currently. At least in German market, we have like 80% of the business use cases in Germany. They are more or less machine learning driven AI projects or AI cases. Only 20% they still remain for deep learning, methodic and strategies and approach for all the cases we have in Germany, for instance. Why we have these two split between the 80 and 20? In fact, that a lot of companies, industry companies, they are actually starting to do something with AI where they don't really know exactly what to do. They want to do it, but they don't have really a clear path or clear strategy what to do with AI and how to use it in an efficient way, in efficient manner. What is the difference between the machine learning and the deep learning in some project, and what really the jackpot for the next 10 years of startups is how to use more or less deep learning in supporting decision makers, whatever the decision makers are. It could be business decision maker, business leaders, could be industrial leaders, could be also security leaders or military leaders, to support them in a fun way how they can improve their decision and how you get something within deep learning technology and methods which can improve in an efficient manner your decision which we are going to take in the next way, or in projects, in the projection or in forecasting approach. That's exactly what is the most important difference, which a lot of people, they don't really recognize when they speak about AI. In general, they say AI is something like big data analysis or analytics approach, but it's more than that. It is actually how you can smooth from machine learning to deep learning within a track that you can bring make mostly. That's the most important criteria, most important key point, with a lot of people they really don't understand and they don't really recognize when they speak about AI. And this is important stuff. That's all from my side. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you for this introduction. Thank you, Ayman, you're welcome. And also to thanks Dr. Mustafa Hamdi for the presentation. And before going, all the presentations are very interesting, and they are talking about many fields of artificial intelligence and how can artificial intelligence, for example, sustainable application. How can we, for example, how we can build capacity? How can another role in sustainable application, and so on. We'll talk about all these points after the presentation of Dr. Malek Shanoufi. Doctor, we will present the startups. We have 3 startups working in the fields of artificial intelligence. And I give so Malek will introduce these 3 startups. You can begin. Welcome, Malek.
Thank you, Professor Reem. I was scheduled to talk from the beginning. Sorry for the technical problems. So you listen to me? It's okay?
Yes, it's okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
Finally. So first of all, thank you. Thanks for all our VIP speakers for accepting the invitation of Startup Gate X to be with us today, and honor us by your participation. Thank you for sharing your experience and on AI, on artificial intelligence with startups. So you have talked about application on artificial intelligence, the importance and potential shown by this technology to fund sustainable application for livable solutions. So from the beginning of this crisis, we believe in Startup Ethics that this crisis is an opportunity to discover and boost innovative, talented youth and project holders. Our slogan was from the beginning, crisis is the mother of all inventions. So, and we opted for protective confinement. For that, we have launched a challenge in partnership with the International German Cooperation and Tunisian German Chamber of Commerce, CDC, Caisse de dépôt et consignation, and Tunisian Post. This challenge was called Key the Corona, which is aiming to design and present a solution based on new technologies to fight the spread of this virus. After 1 month from the call of participation, we have received about 50 projects. And honestly, we was very satisfied by the quality of ideas and submitted, as I said, submitted ideas and projects. Our scientific committee have chosen the projects which are at least 70% finished. So why? Because our main goals is to the integration of these project holders in job market and accelerating and allowing them to be part of the national and international economic development. So during this webinar and the next webinar, inshallah, each time selected startups at the end of each webinar will present their project, will present rapidly, fastly their project for 5 minutes, and will ask you questions and advices. So we have, let's move fastly to the projects that were selected. We have selected 20 projects. 20 projects. 4 of them are on artificial intelligence, 1 on robotics, 1 on IoT. So the 20 projects was a psychofeed from projects of Mohammed Kahna, chatbot, 2 projects about a chatbot, one of Hussein Din Murad and Khalid Amrouche, Corona bot of Khalid Amrouche, Corona fast detector, also mobile application that help to detect infected person by this virus, AI healthcare application, mobile application also, Ego, it's a mobile application also that facilitates the interoperability of payment methods. So cities, a project of Wissam Ben Amor, COVID intelligent bracelet, which is a smart bracelet that can be attached to a person which is affected and alert other person that there is an affected person. So another project of Muaz Mahrouk and Hussein Din Benjama, robot for coronavirus prevention. Magist Eye project, a project of Jihad Haneshi, an intelligent artificial solution. So he will talk about that after. And last project is the project of Bayram Mazoun, home quarantine monitoring. It's a smart kit to measure body temperature, room temperature, and humidity using IoT technologies. So this is the 20, let's say not 20, 11 selected projects to the final, and hoping that today we will have 3 startups that will pitch, and the rest can ask you a question. That's it. So thank you again for accepting our invitation, and I come back to Professor Reem to continue the moderating of this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Malek. Thank you very much for presenting the 3 startups, Tunisian startups working on the field of artificial intelligence and trying to devise solutions, very interesting solutions. So I would like to thank again our speakers, and I will have one question. Another question too, I will ask now Imed Ramdani. What are some of the challenges and opportunities faced in order to harness AI for sustainable use and applications? Can you give us some idea about that?
Doctor, I made activate the sound, please.
We should.
Or
Yes.
sorry. As I said at the beginning, the AI as a process, as a mechanism to help and to speed up the decision making and different I'd say application. It doesn't work effectively unless you have the data in place, unless you have, how to say, the data that you are going to process to decide what will be the right decision to take. So very, very important to have that in place. And when we talk about the data, it's about the quality of the data. It's not about the mass of the data, it's about the quality. So you have to have the specialists who are capable to get that data prepared for your engine to work on it. So I think if we look at sustainable application in this field, we need to look at the entire ecosystem in place. So you have people, multidisciplinary competences working together. It's not about just the software developer only who are going to play with their algorithm, with the complexity of the algorithm, and try to, as Dr. Filali mentioned, shorten the time and have a very quick response time. Everything will depend on the, as I said, the data that you are playing with. So it's very, very important to have that in place. There are plenty of opportunities for decision making, business analytics, for medicines and other application, even beyond these two. As I said, we cannot take advantage of that unless we have the multidisciplinary skills working together. We have the stakeholder having their input to define the use cases, define what is needed, and so on. So I think you need that in place to achieve success.
Awesome. Now, and I have another question addressed to Dr. Filali Fathi. And how can the public further engage with AI, understand its impact? Furthermore, what are the major barriers that exist currently, and how we can overcome them?
I did not get the first part of your question.
The first, how can the public further engage with AI and understand its impact? What can we do to the public, how we can engage more in artificial intelligence and how we can understand it and its role impact in the society?
Yes, yes. Yeah, I got your point. The public are, I believe that the public are on both chains of the whole ecosystem. They generate the data, because this is the public generate the data, but at the end of the day, they benefit from outcome. So what is in between is something that they don't know. Can you hear me? So they need to be educated in the process, really, to make sure that they are aware at the high level, without knowing really the details of technology, that what has been done in between getting the data and then generating the outcome, that process does not violate any of the privacy, their privacy. We need to make sure that their privacy is protected. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. It's okay.
Yes. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, Dr. Fathi.
Okay, thanks so much. So they need to be engaged in the process from the beginning. It's really not really about adults. So I have seen here in Qatar, even in high school students, they try now these days, especially this year, they introduced AI and somehow in the curriculum, and they try to engage them in this process somehow and educate them part of their curriculum. So engaging the public is extremely important. So again, any countries has to have its own regulations, policies, and regulations. So collecting the data, storing that data, sharing the data, This is extremely important so that they can be very comfortable in contributing in that process. But at the end of the day, it comes to ethics, right? So then if you ask patients, do you want to be diagnosed by a machine or by an experienced doctor? I think most of us, they will choose the doctor, right? But if you know that you need to wait 2-3 hours really to be able to see the doctor, but the machine can do this in a few seconds with accuracy of 95%, most probably will go to the machine, right? Because waiting and being can also impact and can cause also increase the probability of being contaminated, right? So I think this is AI is not good in every place and everywhere. So it's something that can help, but can help in some scenarios, right? In some very specific scenarios, if the accuracy, the level of accuracy is enriched and the trust and the ethics and privacy are taken into account in the design process.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fathi Filevi, for this clarification and for this for your idea, your opinion about how AI can help us. Now I have another question addressed to Dr. Ayman Gatri and from Haneshi. Can Dr. Gatri elaborate on the distinction he made between ML and DL? I suppose machine learning and deep learning.
That's a very good point. In fact, the deep learning requires this is the second step, let's say, beyond the machine learning. The machine learning that are so far currently established methods, established codes, and established bibliotheques which can be used in practical for companies to solve their problems and to optimize their problems. With the deep learning, it actually requires more deep inside mathematics as well as inside analytics of the data, and there are not so far very well established bibliotheques or established methods which can support the companies which are looking or seeking for any solving of their problems. That's more or less the core difference between both of them.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I have another question. Now I go to Dr. Hamdi Mustafa. In your opinion, what is the role of each stakeholder group, for example, academia, civil society, private sector, international and regional organization, technical community, media, and so on, in ensuring AI is developed and deployed to contribute to the future? The role, what is the role of each stakeholder? Can you give us an idea about it?
Reem?
Yes?
Can you please repeat the question?
Okay, sorry. In your opinion, what is the role of each stakeholder group? For example, civil society, private sector, international and regional organizations, technical community, for example, media, in ensuring AI for developing and deploying to contribute to the future. And what is the role, the main role to engage each stakeholder group for ensuring artificial intelligence in the future, maybe?
Reem, est-ce que tu peux me répéter la question? J'ai rien saisi.
Ah, okay. I repeat again, sorry. We are now going to develop many...
Reem.
Oui, en français?
Oui.
I will give you another, probably, maybe another question if you like. I will give you, for example, another question. What can be done to build capacity and as it concerns advocating for AI and its role in sustainable application? What can be done to build capacity? Doctor, or if Dr. Hamdi or May another person can answer to this question, no? Abdullah, Sahib, if you like, or Ahmed, or Malek.
I think I can maybe address
You
some
can,
of them.
thank you
Yeah,
very
so
much.
Stakeholders, I think all stakeholders, they need to be involved somehow
Yeah,
in the whole process. Academia, of course, all of us, most of us are academia, so it's about research. So if you look at all the algorithms, they are coming from universities and research centers, all of them. So it's not from enterprises or from civil society. So this is the nucleus really of AI. And then civil society, at the end of the day, you develop a service using AI, right? So civil society is end user. So they need to be involved in defining the requirements and making sure to use your product, what is AI enabled. Private sector, of course, is a business, more market business driven. So is looking for products, new products and innovations and so on. This is something that we are doing here. Regional organizations, some organizations, they need to collaborate together. So I have seen here in COVID, many European countries, they are making sure they are working together to have the same standard because for example, the contact tracing cannot be done by one country. If you are really people they have the freedom to move to other countries to make sure use the same protocol. So regional organization and coordination is extremely important, and media. So I believe that each one has a role to play at a different degree of importance and different phase of the process to be able to have end-to-end and trusted AI products.
Thank you, Dr. In fact, we believe that
I do agree.
Bridging the gap between industry, between private and university. As we can provide, as thought now, we can provide some algorithms, some platform, but stay just technological means platform. I visited a lot of hospitals, clinics in Tunisia. I got a lot of data, and then I guess that we should bridging the gap between university and this private enterprise or hospital or public hospital. So actually, here is our innovative role as faculty, as teacher.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, I would like just to add to what Dr. Filali and Dr. Hamdi have already mentioned. I think the stakeholder, when you talk about the stakeholder, we need to think about the knowledge of the stakeholder, not only how to say the variety of the stakeholder that will be involved in the development or the use of the AI application. It's very, very important to embrace them, to engage them at the early stage, so that what is going to be developed later will be really useful and effective for them to improve their businesses, whether they are going to be the general public or any other area. Multidisciplinary collaboration is key. We cannot nowadays rely on just one skill to exploit every single intelligence from everyone. Academic and industrial collaboration is vital. Business engagement is also should be there. We should have, how to say, a comprehensive network working together from the first specification of the application toward the end. And if we apply that, we can increase the technology readiness level. So the TRL, usually call it TRL in innovation. So more you take this into account, more you increase the TRL level, and you can go upper in the scale.
Rima, I'd like to collaborate very fast in 1 minute only.
Yes, sure.
Ahmad, what you said was great actually in the beginning of the meeting. Data is the power. Data today is the power. So yeah, we'll need government to get a very structured data from governments. We will need private sector to get the collected data from the private sector, either sales, loyalty programs, CRM, whatever I mean. And we will need the open data that we have in our, let me say, private account. So we will need the data from government, the data from private sector, and the data from public. When we put it on the AI mixture, will come with a very smart applications, help to find really good solutions facing all of those. So Ahmad, thank you for mentioning, Dr. Ahmad, with full respect, for mentioning data. Data is the key driver for AI. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And lady.
Voilà. Thank you very much. Thank you for all of you for these clarifications. And I go to now to Melek. Melek will introduce the startups. Melek. Melek. You can activate your microphone.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Melek, you can. Okay.
I want to call Mr. Jihad Haneshi.
Yes.
Is he present?
Hello, everybody. Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, finally. Jihad
Okay.
Haneshi
We
from
have the three startups, huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
So first startup, Mr. Jihad Haneshi will talk, will introduce his project. Then after that, Mr. Mohammed Kahna with the Psy-COVID project. And finally, Mr. Hamdi Haddad with COVID and intelligent bracelet. Okay? So go on, Jihad.
How much time do we have?
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
We're not even started in 5 minutes. All right.
5-7 minutes.
Okay.
No problem.
Let me share my slides. Do you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Now, hello, everybody. My name is Jihad Haneshi, and I'm co-founder of Majestai. So I start by introducing the company because, I mean, the project is submitted by myself, but it's a company project. There's a team behind that. So Majestai is a data analytics technology vendor. We are a data science company who craft its own data technology. And I think, like it was said, that data is the right frame to start talking about AI. I would say that data science is the right frame to position the whole endeavor around valuing and extracting the value from data. And this is what we do. Basically, what we do is really extract as much as possible value from data in order to what? In order to allow our clients, our customers, to make that transition to data-driven operating model and a knowledge-based business model. This is in a nutshell what we do. What we mean by data-driven operating model and business model, obviously everyone knows that we start from siloed organizations, data systems, etc. The most successful ones become data-driven. I think someone mentioned Alibaba, talking about Google, etc. But we have a different view on how digital transformation, or how far digital transformation should go. It should not start at a data-driven organization, because then it's much more about automation than about knowledge. We think that the path should be toward a knowledge-based operating and business model, which means that the right value from data is the knowledge that it encompasses. And obviously for that end, you need to have a fair data that is findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. And again, I've heard it was said that data should be prepared in a way that allows AI to learn from it. And we have defined a whole framework on how to make the transition from scattered data into fair data. In a nutshell, our product is an end-to-end data analytics factory, which means that it covers the whole value chain of data science, from preparing the data to extracting the knowledge to the deployment. We have solved, or we have a dedicated offering for exploratory data analytics, because we think that it is much more turned around or based on use cases rather than on knowledge extraction. And if you only focus on solving the problem of the day from data, you leave a lot of knowledge in the data that might give you better ideas to improve your business altogether. And last but not least, we have a dedicated predictive analytics technology, which is robust and strong and allows to extract models that are deployable at scale, because we think that everybody's working with data and developing POCs based on data. but there is a real difficulty to deploy those models at scale. And I think that's more the weakness of the models that is behind that. And we have a solution for that. Our verticals, obviously, we have built an agnostic technology, meaning that we can go to multiple sectors. But for now, we are focusing on these three ones. Healthcare is the one that I'm going to talk about next, because it's in that context that we have positioned the drug eye. It's not a product that we have developed for the COVID-19 situation. It's a solution that we have developed before that. We are working on healthcare as one of our target sectors. And I'll start with this citation that I like from a researcher working on a wet lab in Montreal. He said, "We have a black box." He means the SARS-CoV-2 virus. And we are trying to open it, to look inside with the best eye we have and the best tool we have developed. And he's talking about wet lab tools, obviously. But actually, our technology was the eye that looked inside the SARS in order to do two things. One, understand its behavior, and two, try to identify target molecules that might be eligible, or that might be efficient against the virus. In drug discovery, for the ones who are not familiar with the sector, there are two ways of discovering a new drug. Or you do the business as usual way. You go in a drug discovery process which might take years, and that's the disadvantage of it. Or if you are in a pandemic situation like the one we are in, you try identifying existing molecules that can help quickly, that were tested on people, etc. The disadvantage is that it's mainly based on the researcher's experience and intuition, and that's exactly where drug eye intervenes. So basically what we do, what you see here is a snapshot of the analysis that we have done. I'll show you others in a while, but in the right hand you have the genes reference. In the middle, you have the rules that explain the predictions that are in the left side. The left side are the functions of that gene, this is the actual gene which was published on the NCBI. So there's a wealth of data that is available out there, actually, that we can leverage and learn from. So basically, what you see here is a typical data valuation process. You start from the simple gene sequence. We applied our predictive analytics technology, which learned from a wealth of data that is available in open format from valuable and reliable sources like NCBI, in order to predict the functions, the behavior of this specific gene. And we did that for all the genes of the virus. This is something that we did in February, early February, after the genome of the virus was published. And actually the first manual characterization of the virus genes are being published late in April. So basically we were 3 months ahead of the manual way of doing things, which means that, you know, if you are in a rush like the one we are in now, we allow to significantly squeeze that process. But that's not the only advantage. The other advantage is that it's an explainable prediction, because I hear a lot about predicting and AI, etc., but it's not that the diamond in the data. The diamond is the knowledge. What is it that is behind that prediction? What is it that is behind that code of the genome? And our solution was able to actually, this is one of the output as well, description of how the gene does behave when it comes inside the cell. It is really valuable. We have presented this obviously to our health ministry in Tunisia very early when the pandemic broke. We also have gave them the people that they asked us within the department that are working on introducing new drugs, etc. And they are using this for the research around molecules, but also around the virus itself. Now, last but not least, that analysis and our prediction tools allowed us to identify candidate molecules that are existing in the market and that might be useful for or against this virus. This is one of them. It's called quercetin. It's even not a drug. It's a medical supplement. But we have a set of rules and like a path to explain why this could be a serious candidate molecule against the virus. Obviously, again, like AI is not about the algorithms only, but about the data. For us, it's not about the predictions only, it's about the knowledge that is underlying that, because the knowledge allows you to take the right decisions, and that's what it's all about. I don't know if I'm over time, but thank you very much for listening. And if there are any questions, or if there are anyone who wants to have more details, just reach out to me and feel free to ask. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. We go, Malek, we go to the next presentation of the next topic.
Mohammed Kahna. So, Mohammed, are you here?
Hello.
Mohammed.
Hello,
Yes.
Hello. Hello, Mohammed.
So go on, Mohammed.
Go on. You have 5 minutes, please, Mohammed.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
I introduce myself, Mohammed Kahna. I am a surgical technology student in Higher School of Health Science and Technique, Tunis. I participate in this competition till the corona with my project entitled Robotic Examination Table. This project is based on scientific student. First of all, I start with my scientific student published in the journal Acta Sciences Neurology, entitled my article entitled Psychology of the Patient Infected with COVID-19 during his treatment period. This study provides
the voice is quite low. Can you increase the voice a little bit, please?
Yes. Mohammed?
And now you can hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. It's better. Better. Thank you.
I start with my scientific study published in the journal Acta Scientific Neurology, entitled The Psychology of Patients Infected with COVID-19 in Tunisia during the treatment period. This study provided valuable information of the first reaction of hospitalization patients. Their psychology is almost depressed because of isolation, knowing that there is no treatment for the coronavirus, and all the psychological disturbing factors negatively influence his physical condition and immunity in his health in general. And to fight COVID-19, you normally need to have a strong immune system. In addition, there is a scientific student from the British University of Stanford has shown that improving the patient's psychological state increase the number of antibody in the blood and excites parasympathetic nerves, which aims to increase adrenaline, relieve the fatigue and pain, and strengthen immunity. Therefore, according to this studies and avoid this problem and to fight against COVID-19, we do the table, robotic examination table, aims to monitor the patient and support him physically and psychologically. This table contains a screen with an application. We used to talk with the patient either through voice message or a chatbot. This is a robot measure psychology state of infected patient, anxiety, stress, and pain. I collected data of vital signs as like temperature, respiratory rate, and tension. Then he tests the immunity system of the patient. After collecting the data, I'll record it and send to the doctor remotely. He gives advice and goes through the method that emerges to reduce his anxiety. This is a technique for relaxation is music therapy. It means use music for therapeutic purpose, and we'll keep on eye on him, and will stay on surveillance during his treatment. The work protocol is when the patient is placed on the table. He puts the headset on his ear, and the table starts to talking with him. This is VAS score to measure pain, and this is an Hamilton anxiety rating to measure anxiety and stress of patient. This is my prototype for the moment. This table will say there is a person with him without any contact of a nurse or doctor to avoid contamination. The robot is in the head of the table. This is the screen contain a chatbot with the patient by this headset. So, the advantage of this robotic examination table for the patient, physical and psychology monitoring, help to treat faster, improves mood and patient satisfaction. Because as psychology and immunity become enhanced, we are giving to the patient a great chance to fight COVID-19. And for the health professional, we'll eliminate the risk of contamination, save the time, optimize the paper, and collect data remotely, introduction of digital health. So, in summary, we have a patient infected with COVID-19. We have to eliminate the risk, evaluate the patient's state of health, help in treatment, patient monitoring, and finally we are reaching the goal and have a healthy individual. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Malik.
Mohammed.
The last chapter.
Thank you, Mohammed. So the last one is Mr. Hamdi Haddad. Hamdi, are you here?
I'm hearing you, yes.
Okay. So Hamdi Haddad, go on.
Hi, everybody. Present myself. I'm an embedded telecommunication engineering student at NISO. Thanks for everyone for this opportunity. So we present you our design solution, Antenna bracelet. Firstly, what's about? Actually, it's a connected bracelet that can be attached to the affected person's wrist, which can determine whether he trespasses his allowing movement zone or not. Thus, government can control people's behavior easily. Now, how it's working. Actually, the main core of telebracelet is GPS JF07. All right, contrary to its name, it's an efficient position tracker working under GSM GPS network and not GPS. But how does it work? Actually, this module determines its position thanks to GPS triangulation principle using cell tower signals overlapping, known as BPS towers. Sorry. To get into more details, this module is equipped by SIM card, sending SMS message containing 777s to the SIM card number. That will give us the real-time position of this bracelet. We move on to the communication principle and the implementation. All right, now the government, or technically the server at their disposal, would play the cell phone role by sending SMS codes to the GPS JF07, which is in turn will reply by giving its real-time position. Now, it's clear that we need an internet GPS communication to achieve this task, but how that can be achieved? Exactly, this can be done thanks to Tunisi SMS, which is the Tunisian service that will play the role of a gateway between internet and GPS network. Now, it's important to mention that GPS localization is not very precise. That's why we designed an algorithm that can be implemented in the server to handle this issue. That can be explained later because time doesn't allow to. All right, now we move to mechanical implementation. That's our 3D designed anti-bracelet body. All right, now our bracelet responds to 3 major constraints. First, it must be non-removable. That's why anti-bracelet comes up with only 2 ready-to-use components, the bracelet strip and the GPS JF07 container box. Secondly, it has to be water-resistant. It is made with nylon, and a rubber seal can be added also inside the container box if needed. Thirdly, our bracelet needs to be non-removable. It needs to be non-removable, so we ensure no one's breaching the confinement. That's why we designed a shootable strip. It can only be attached once. The same mechanism of a cable tie. Now, after finishing the quarantine period, health agents can cut the strip. We move now to actually the most important part of this presentation. So far, the service seems to be very classic, yet it presents many advantages that favor us from other solutions. Firstly, it's very profitable. It can cost approximately only $7 because the GPS module costs only $4 from purchase from Alibaba. Secondly, its technical implementation is simple. No need for internet connection, no need for an internet gateway as IoT solutions do. This solution uses an already installed cellular network infrastructure, as we already mentioned, the BTS cell towers. So these advantages make it very convenient production, which is very needed in our critical situation when the pandemic is spread very fast. Other advantages that can be added also is usable by other affected person when someone finishes quarantine period. Actually, only with the bracelet strip is disposable, and the GPS module container can be reusable for sure. We thought also about reusability after the end of coronavirus pandemic. It can be used so for car stealing controlling, for example. That's it. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, thank you for our 3 selected startups. Now, if you have any questions, I'm asking our startups if you have any question to our speakers, VIP speakers, or
I have a question. Can I just ask like this, or should?
Who's talking?
Jihad Hanafi from Merseyside.
Okay.
Actually, I was curious because we have the chance to have speakers from the Middle East. I feel bad because I've never been to that region, but I'm curious how mature. I've heard a little bit. Sorry, I do not recall the name, but from someone in Qatar talking about a couple of initiatives around data.
Dr. Fathi Fileli.
Dr. Fileli, excuse me. But I'm curious about how mature is the market, or the region, or maybe the specific countries, if you are aware of, in terms of data. Analytics, data science in general, but more specifically the deployment of those into the transformation agenda for digital transformation. How literate are people there? How literate are decision makers there? in those areas? I'm really curious to know.
Dr.
Can
Fathi?
you answer, Fathi, and you complete this one, please?
And
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I would like to tell you we have three layers of let's say maturity in this case. If we talk about government, if you take Saudi, United States, Qatar, I think they are very mature. They are in very high level from government point of view. If you look from the new generation, the youth, we have crazy. I mean, set of those young guys hunger to all kind of this kind of technology. In the middle, like middle management on the governments and private sector, we are quite, let me say, late. But for example, in Saudi, we have an application called Abshir. Since 2013 until today is e-government application #1 worldwide.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so yeah, that's the level of the government that we reach. But I think, yeah, from private sector point of view, and from, let me say, applying those on mass things in a private sector, no, we are not yet there. Young guys are really smart in the region, very
But
smart.
they do not have
They have the opportunity.
Okay, thank you.
thank you, Mr. Abdullah. Dr. Fathi, do you want to answer?
And so I think I second the same message. Basically, we when it comes to data access, so you mentioned data access, the first one. It's we have the same issues and similar to other countries, right?
Sorry, I meant data analytics. Excuse me. I didn't really. I mean data analytics as a core component of the digital transformation. That's what I mean. Sorry.
Transformation is not a 1 day or 1 year process. It's something that may take time, but has to start somehow. I know that has been started in UAE, in Saudi, in Qatar, through different initiatives. In Qatar, we have an initiative called TESMO. TESMO is Smart Qatar initiative, handed by the Ministry of Communication and Transportation. It started 2 years ago with around 100+ use cases. I believe 80% of them, they have some AI component. But again, this is led by the government. So they have access to the data and they have a data lake, which is really can be shared by other entities, either private or public sector, to tap into and to develop their own services, either for free or they can also create their some business and some products. So so the advantage of having this managed by the Ministry of Transportation and coordinating with other government entities make it most probably easier for private sector to access one data lake, especially when it comes to enablers like identification, user identification, like maps in the country, like e-payment, everything which are enablers, basically whatever service you have. In terms of capacity, which was one of the questions, how really can build the capacity and can leverage the capacity, because you can build the capacity but you don't use that capacity, which is what happened in the past here in Qatar through many research programs and research funds. You have a research project, then you hire people, then they stay 3 years, then they leave the country and you don't use them, right? But it's very important to build the capacity and use that capacity in the right way. And really one important point that my colleague in Saudi mentioned is that gap between the higher, really the dedication or the decisions in the higher authority of the government and the application and applying this action and making sure that these are applied in the society. We have that gap even in Qatar. So this is where we need really a lot of education for our management and the different government entities. So when it comes to educating them, what is AI, what is the value of AI, why you need to trust AI, and this is missing somehow. So they're having some initiatives to close this gap, but still is not there. So for COVID, for example, I know that there is a crisis management committee here in Qatar where they have multiple stakeholders involved. But when it comes to AI, it was very challenging really to talk, to educate those who are really new to this topic and make sure that they believe in the AI and they believe in data analytics. You convince them to get access to the data. And we have another project which is using cough sound, coughing sound to detect COVID. So, and there are few research papers in this area, not using CT scans, but using coughing, because it looks like the pattern is different. And we are trying to get some sounds of some of the patients.
I think what I would like to add here, Saudi, Qatar, and UAE, and I mentioned Saudi, Qatar, and UAE because they have vision and they have plan to go forward. They have 2020 project to collect data of every single thing in the country. So they are going to that direction. And that project set it up in Qatar, set it up in UAE, set it up in Saudi, and even the budget is more than 9 digits for each one. Yeah,
Thank you.
They take it very serious.
And I think the last point is that they have the skills. So they have research centers, I know, and even ministry, I think, in Saudi and UAE, in AI, focusing on AI and how to leverage AI in multiple sectors. And Qatar, we have really 2-3 good centers in terms of research and pushing to the limit, really, not about pure research, but also about applied research and making sure that we have a product at the end of the day. So.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We should conclude now because the time is. I would like, it is a very interesting discussion that cannot finish, but sorry for the time. And I would like to thank all our guests for this, Dr. Abdullah Sahab, Dr. Ahmed Ramdani, Mustafa Hamdi, Marwan is not with us, sorry. Fathi Filali, Dr. Malek, and Dr. also Ayman Ghatri. I would like to thank Saifuddin for the technical, for all this organization. Malek also for this very interesting organization of the webinar.
Can we have the contacts of the speakers? I'm asking.
Yes, I will give you. Yes. Okay. We will give you. I will give you the contact. It is a very interesting discussion. So a fruitful exchange that allowed us to highlight achievements and invention based on AI, and we can maybe organize another webinar on this field, which is very interesting, very important. And thanks again. Malek, do you have to add something, Malek?
No, thank you so much for
I would like to thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
Ayman, would you like to say something of any of our speakers?
Yes, I would like to thank Dr. Malak and within support of Saifuddin as well for arranging all these webinars. Yes. From the startup KTX side. And also I'm thanking all the MVTs, all the speakers. It is really a very hypefully, actually very intensive and very fruitful discussion today for the AI, and hope we keep the next webinar on the same level, even more than that. Thanks so much for everyone for your participation as well.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Malek. Thank you, Saif. Thank you. Thank you all, and hope to see you soon, maybe.
Bye, and
thank you. Thank you.
هي طيبة.
هي طيبة.
في أمان الله. في أمان الله.
السلام عليكم.
السلام عليكم.